Hello everyone, it's Kate Spencer. I am an energy worker, an intuitive, a writer and founder of Life and Soul Academy as well. And I'm here today to talk to you about the energy forecast for June 2021. So I've spent some time tuning into this, meditating, identifying themes that are coming up for me as we move into this month, and I'm going to share them with you. This is the forecast that I'm going to use personally for me to navigate through my world in June, and you are very welcome to take what you need also. So the first thing to mention is that there is a new moon on June the 10th. And new moon is a time when we are encouraged to seed in our intentions, to plant those intentions for the next cycle. It's a time when we are encouraged to write our virtual checks, make our wish lists, and get really clear on what it is that we want to attract in. But this month, it's going to be more powerful than usual because this coincides with a solar eclipse. And this solar eclipse especially is about prosperity and abundance. So it's very important this month to make sure that we are really aligned with what it is we want to create. So what do I mean by that? We hear it all the time, don't we? Get aligned, get in alignment with. What that means is make your vibration match what it is you want to draw in. And your vibration or your energy signature or your frequency comes from the way you feel. And the way you feel comes from the way you think. So this is why you often see on social media and in blogs and so on from people like me, information about watching your thoughts, about being conscious, about what is your story, what are you telling yourself, because all of the stuff that we think generates a feeling, doesn't it? So, for example, if I was going to sit here and think thoughts of doom, gloom and disaster, my vibration would drop, which would mean my frequency would drop. And the law of attraction states that you attract what you are. Not what you're becoming in the future, but what you are now. In other words, what you send out, you're going to attract a version of matching energy into your life. And that is what we call an experience. So it's really important, generally speaking, to do your best to line up with what it is you want to create. Think about the way you want your life to look, sometimes rather than the way it is if things aren't going your way, but it's especially important at this time when we look at the new moon coupled with that solar eclipse. So I would encourage you to be really conscious, step out of your own mind, be aware of what it is you're thinking and the story that you're telling yourself. Maybe there are some inherited beliefs there about what you're worthy of or what you can have in life. And maybe it's time to examine them and ask yourself whether they serve you and whether they are in fact true. Or perhaps you've made up a story based on past experiences or things that you've observed in other people's lives. This is a time to be really conscious and aware and step back, examine what it is that we are telling ourselves and look at the feelings and therefore the vibration that we are sending out there into the world. Does this serve you? Is this going to assist you to attract what you want? If you struggle with this, I would suggest that taking a really broad brush approach is a great idea. So, for example, I can guess you want happiness, health, prosperity, connection, love, laughter, all of the good stuff in your life. Maybe you could sit and you could imagine what it would be like if you felt those things. Imagine what it would be like to feel really safe and contented and peaceful. When you imagine, you are still running those thought patterns and you are still sending out that vibration into the universe that can be matched through experience, and you will find that you draw in more goodness as a result. So be mindful of that, especially around June the 10th. The next thing that we need to be aware of is Mercury is in retrograde throughout nearly the whole month. This starts on the 29th of May and it continues right through to June the 22nd. Now, some of you might have clenched when I said Mercury retrograde because you've read loads of stuff about technology being an issue, about transport, about communication. Mercury retrograde is linked to those things, but please remember, as I've just said, whatever you think generates a feeling, feeling generates a vibration, and that can attract in experiences from the universe. So there's an upside to Mercury retrograde, and the upside is it's a really great time to do your inner work. It's a brilliant time to take a deep dive into what's going on with you, do a self-audit. Your intuition is likely to be on fire at times during Mercury retrograde, and it's an important time to kind of cocoon up and do your work, do the stuff that you need to do, and be gentle with yourself. Yes, of course, in a human world, make sure you check transport stuff, times of flights, and if your car needs a service or you're going to be planning a holiday, then make sure that all of those details are checked and double checked. Back up your technology and make sure that anything you post on social media or anything you say, anything you text, anything you communicate, and remember that communication can come in lots of different ways, is really clear, because it's a time when we can very, very easily have miscommunication, pick things up incorrectly. Either we can or other people can. And bear that in mind, because sometimes as humans we get really sensitive about that, and it's so easy to miss the context of something in a Facebook post, in a text. So give yourself a break and other people, and before you react to anything, just pause and ask yourself, have I got this right, and what's the next right thing to do, rather than just being reactive. So see Mercury retrograde as a blessing, as a good thing, rather than a time when everything's going to go shits up. It might, but know also that future you has got this, and you can cope with it, and you know it's coming, and you're going to take extra care and precaution with the stuff we've just mentioned anyway, so it's likely to be totally fine. Now, the other themes that I've had coming up for June, so they are the kind of cosmic events, if you like, that are of note. The full moon is on the 24th, before I move on actually, and that is a time of releasing, especially releasing any frustration that you've built up during Mercury retrograde. Perhaps that's the time to do your burn lists, to let shit go and to make room for the good stuff to come in. So now the themes that I picked up apart from those cosmic events. So as I sat and meditated and asked for the information to come through for me, these were the key themes that were highlighted. The first one was superpowers, was stepping into our power and into our superpower. So many of us, especially after the year that we've just lived, have confined ourselves to our comfort zone. We've literally been confined indoors, and our circle has got a lot smaller in terms of experience. Sometimes your circle getting smaller is a good thing. I think as we get older and as we get more life experience, our friendship circle definitely does that, because we exercise a whole lot more discernment. However, our comfort zone is often the place where our dreams and ambitions die. Our comfort zone is exactly that. It keeps us comfortable. It's a place where we're not going to get rejected, where we aren't going to get judged, because we're not putting ourselves out there. But I got a very, very strong message that June 2021 is a time for us to step into our superpower. So what is your superpower? So you might be thinking, yeah, well, whatever. You might be able to read cards, Kate Spencer. You might be able to do all this fancy healing, but what about me? So bear with. What is your superpower? Now, you will know at a really core level what that is. And if you don't, meditate on it. Name it and claim it. So things like being a really, really good listener. Things like being a truth teller. Being one of those human lie detectors that can call people out. Things like forgiveness is a superpower. There are so many superpowers, and we are being asked to step in to whatever ours is and to demonstrate it in our lives and live into it. So sit with that and think what you've brought. What can you do that is different to other people and exceptional, and that can help you and others? And it's time to live into that more. The second theme that I got for this month was perspective. So being conscious in how you see the world and sometimes stepping out of our own reality in order to see other people's perspective. And that can really breed tolerance, compassion, empathy, and it can reduce judgment. So often our human self gets really tunneled on one perspective, being right, being the way we do things. And that can be really self-sabotaging, and we might not see it at the time. So we're being encouraged this month to step back and to look at things from either someone else's perspective or in fact from a higher perspective, that sort of helicopter view where you can look down and you can see lots and lots of different aspects of a situation, and you can read how that might feel to different people. So think about that. Where might you've got the wrong perspective? Where might you have a limited perspective? And where might it serve you to step out of that and be able to change your perspective? And what would you gain from that? The next theme that I picked up was one of flexibility. Now, initially I thought, well, of course, flexibility, being open to new ideas and opportunities. But once I went deeper, this is what I got. So flexibility is the opposite to being rigid. And when you're rigid, that comes from fear. So it's because as humans, our ego responds and we're afraid of something, afraid of change, afraid of growth, afraid of putting our heart out there and it being broken, afraid of being judged, whatever it is. But when we are really, really rigid and fixed, it's generally underpinned by fear. So dig in with that. This is doing the work that we speak of. Dig in with that. Where are you too rigid? Where do you find it hard to be flexible? And once you've identified where that is in your life, what it is in your life, then ask yourself, what are you afraid of? What is the fear that is underpinning that? And then you can challenge it. You can ask yourself, is this true? And does this serve me? And do what you can. Once you've brought that fear into the light of conscious awareness, it's loads easier to see that it doesn't serve you and to let it go. And that's one of the things that you might want to write on your burn list, which you can do any time, but is especially powerful during the full moon. So shadow work was the next theme that came up, speaking of looking at fear and rigidity. And I thought, oh wow, more shadow work. But what I got through for this was, as we do our own shadow work as individuals, we are really contributing to the collective healing of humanity, because we are all connected. And there is a collective shadow in humanity as well. So the more work that you can do on you, on yourself, the more that you can dig into and the more that you can bring into the light of consciousness in terms of patterns you've got, self-sabotage, fear, stuff you need to forgive, things you need to release, all of that stuff. As you do that work, you do it for all of us too. And as our vibration raises as a species, this can only benefit all of us. And as our collective shadow starts to reduce, it means that the more light that we can hold, the more light we can bring, the more work we can do on ourselves, that counterbalances the darkness in humanity and the shadow of humanity. And it can be amazingly powerful, and it doesn't take much light in order to balance the darkness. So if we all do a bit of work on ourselves, then we are helping not only us, but the collective. And Mercury Retrograde is a brilliant time to do shadow work. It's a great time to dig in with yourself and get that deep inner healing work done. So meditation is really going to help you this month. It's also going to help to set your vibe and stop you feeling so scattered. And it can help you to get out of fear too, which is something that we've mentioned also. So the next theme, and there are two left, is walk your talk. So actions and behaviours show the world who you are, and with congruence comes confidence. So the more congruent you can be with who you are, the more lined up you can be with who you truly are at your core, the more confident you are going to be as a person, and the more whole you are going to feel, the more authentically you will be able to show up, and the more comfortable you will be in your skin. And the more inner work and shadow work that you do, the easier this is going to get. So walk your talk. How are you showing up in your world? What are your values? What's important to you? Again, what are your superpowers? How can you demonstrate this? If kindness is a superpower of yours, how can you live into that? And how can you demonstrate it every day? If having integrity is one of your superpowers, then how can you live into that and demonstrate it every day and become that shining light and that mirror for other people, as well as raising your own vibration, helping yourself to stay in alignment with who you are? You're helping everyone else. And the last theme that I was given was to know your worth. Now, yes, that is something that I'm working on at the minute, which is why I paused. And it's about knowing that not only are you worthy financially, it's about being worthy of being here, of being who you are, of showing up as you. We are all here as part of the divine plan. There's no accident. I believe, and again, take what you need, that we all chose to come here at this time in physical bodies as humans in order to grow, evolve, heal, connect, experience the human condition, and to help the earth to shift into a new consciousness. Now, claim your spot is something that I was told, and I'm going to say that to you now. So claim your spot. Know that you are unique. There's no one else like you, and there never ever will be. So if you think of us all as one great big collective, you are a cog in that machine, as am I. We are all here for a reason. If we could own it, and if we could be more congruent, if we could do our work, if we could heal ourselves and help the collective, how amazing would Earth be? It would be brilliant, wouldn't it? Less drama, less strife, more love, more connection, more light. It would be an even more amazing place. And you can play your part in that by doing your own work. So I hope that's been of interest to you. I hope it's helped you. And always just take what you need from this or any other videos that you watch of mine. Please like and subscribe, hit the bell so that you get a notification when I upload a new video, and I will put a link in the comments below for the oracle card reading for June. I've got my cards here for the oracle card reading for June 2021, which I'm going to do next. And it's often very surprising what comes out in the cards compared to what I've said in the energy forecast. So have an amazing month. Lots of love from me to you. Please leave me a comment if you want to, and let me know how you found this, how your month is going, or just to say hello. Okay, lots of love. Goodbye.